context of worship. In the context of worship, modernity is not needed. While in everything else, science, transaction, any kind of transaction, commerce, all aspects of life, it's welcome. Yes. And I see that Dr. Suhail is here, and I like to welcome him and turn the microphone to him.
Jazakallah. Thank you. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah, ala alihi wa sahbihi wa min walah. If you just, I mean, you can continue the discussion. Just
by the way, Brother Suhail probably speaks French too, you know.
Yes, but it would not be nice if three of us, if you three boys and I start talking in French, that would be like if you all started speaking Arabic in front of me. So it wouldn't be nice for everyone else. So we will not do that because we have good adab.
We'll switch back to English.
English is good.
Dr. Suhail, we were talking about modernity, al-hadatha.
Yeah.
And because we had a previous meeting,
and we were
talking about this, and we kind of trying to brief everybody that al-hadatha has many facets, many sides. When it comes to acts of worship or anything related to what we call thawabit, what is fixed in our religion, we cannot touch it with hadatha. But everything else is open. And what is fixed is very limited. It's limited to the way we learn to worship from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he said, for instance, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli." Pray the way I'm praying. We cannot change that, but everything else we can change.
And should.
And should.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Well, the greatness of this religion is that it was even in terms of sequence in time. What was introduced first was the sense of mission and the ultimate purposes and maqasid. Basically, this religion came to make people happier and more successful and make this world a better place. And that's when you make the focus on the goals, not the means, that makes this religion very flexible and always has the capacity to be customized and contextualized in any context and to improve any situation, regardless of how good it is or how bad, because it is basically, it's a religion of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy al Munkar, or Islah. Wherever you are, there is no society in the world that is perfect. Wherever you are, you just preserve anything that is good, defend it, promote it, reinforce it, strengthen it, and then try to minimize, reduce, eliminate anything that is harmful, that is bad. And the way to do it is clearly in Islam, it's in a peaceful civic engagement. موعظة الحسنة ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير. Just call people, educate them, tell them about what is beneficial for them in this life and hereafter. There is no compulsion. There is no nobody. God did not force people to believe in him. Who is going to do that? Who has the right or should allow themselves to do that? So it is Muslims who made this religion rigid and frozen in time, and therefore it became, it did not keep up with the progress of life.
They became rigid. They became rigid.
They became, their understanding.
And their life became stagnant.
Yeah, because their understanding of religion was frozen, and therefore their situation also froze and become so stagnant. So it's really whatever is happening to Muslims is happening in spite of Islam, not because of it. It's because in spite of this very progressive religion It's a religion basically that is telling you that you need to try to seek perfection, that every day you try to be a better version of yourself. I mean, how could be more greater than that? And it makes that an act of worship, that this self-development and making yourself a better version of yourself, it's a essential act of worship. And then makes contribution to the greater good is your mission, and asks you to maximize, not only to contribute something, because that's the whole idea of jihad or jahadu. It's not that they do something good, or they do maybe volunteer their spare time or their spare money. No, they push their limits. They do their maximum to make people around them better people, and make their society a better society, and this world a better place. So what do you think of religion that comes to tell you that you need to push your limits to be always better and stronger and more successful? Because that's what Allah wants you to be the happiest person and the most successful person in this life, even before the hereafter. And then a religion that tells you that not only contribution to the greater good is a duty or obligation, but maximum contribution to the greater good is your duty and obligation. And that's what makes you a true believer. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. It's an exclusive definition of the true believer are the ones who spare no efforts, who push their limits and do their utmost in serving the greater good. So it's really, as I mentioned in this last Jumu'ah, it's the more I discover the greatness of this religion, and then I look at the situation of Muslims, I feel really very puzzled and a lot of pain, because it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Where in terms of behavior and thinking, we are almost doing the opposite of what Islam commands us to do. And in terms of conditions, we are also, our conditions are opposite to the conditions that were promised in Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the community of believers to be a model community and a leading community, and describe our stand in the world as among other communities and nations to be like the position of the Prophet ﷺ amongst us. And the Prophet was Qudwa, role model, was mercy to all humanity, and was leader. Every Muslim individual should try to be a role model, a mercy to the people around them, and then a leader, leading by example. And every Muslim community should be a role model, should strive to be a role model or a model community, and to be mercy to the society in which they settle, and to be a leading community. Again, leading here, it's not like control or oppression. Leading by example, guiding, showing the way.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So I think last time, the last Sunday when we spoke, we kind of touched upon what we just said, and the question was, how do we move forward?
Mhm.
And I think you started talking about it towards the end. So I think you mentioned what's needed is leadership, a mission, and organization to organize around that mission. So we spoke about, leadership a little bit. So what would be the mission then? I mean, beside the mission of Islam itself, that's well defined. So what would be a mission to make a change? How do we move from where we at, kind of move forward as as individual, as communities, as a society eventually. So we become kuntum khayra ummatan ukhrijat lin-nas.
I mean, the focus should always be on the individuals, because the collective work builds on the individual work. It's not the substitute for it. And that's what people have the misunderstanding when they keep talking about the community and the community. Who is the community? Community is you and I.
The collective.
So there is no collective work if there is no, the individual work is the foundation of the collective work. So when it comes to the recipe of Islam is very simple. This is a religion that transforms the individual. And we have seen that transformation in the lives of the companions, complete transformation. I mean, as if you took one person and you brought another one. I mean, there is no comparison between any companion before and after Islam. It's a complete transformation. And then immediately turn that individual, because of this mission that you mentioned, immediately turns that individual into an agent or force of change in societies. Immediately. There is no lag period between that. There is no such thing that I'm going to spend my time learning first and practicing Islam, and then I will become active. No, it's an immediate turn over. So immediately turn them into agent of change in their circles and force of change. And then comes the collective work, which requires leadership and organizations. Now, what is this mission? Quran described in several ways. Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy al Munkar is one description. Promoting everything that is good and working against anything that is bad. That's one. Islah. Quran mentioned in another, in the form of Islah. Islah, reform, betterment, making things better.
Fixing the world.
Yeah. Islam calls for standing out for justice. Another way to describe this mission. كونوا قوامين بالقسط. Should be standing out for justice. شهداء لله, witnesses for Allah. شهداء على الناس. Khalifa, another way. The fact that you are on this earth appointed by Allah to manage it and develop it, etc. That's another. A'mar, another way Islam describes the mission. وَالَّذِي أَنْشَأَكُمْ مِنَ الْأَرْضِ وَاسْتَعْمَرَكُمْ فِيهَا, settled you on earth to develop it. Number of things, number of ways Islam described that mission, but it can come down, this Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy al Munkar, very loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing, it's so simple. All it says, wherever you are, in any part of the world, anything that you find good in that society, advocated, defended, protected. Like you settle in United States and you find this constitution that is guaranteeing liberties and freedom, etc. You should be at the forefront of defending the constitution against any attempt to mess up with it, because it is something good. Any policy that is fair and just, whether it is domestic or otherwise, same. On the other hand, any social disease, any bad policy, any phenomena, anything that is hurting individuals or hurting the society, you should be an advocate against it. So that's the mission that the Prophet ﷺ introduced from day one. I mean, they did not use the word mission and vision, but it was clear from the beginning that the companions were dedicating themselves to a cause, and they are ready to die for it. That's why there are people who died in Mecca under torture before they knew how to pray, before they knew about fasting, before they knew about zakat, before they knew about hajj, before alcohol was forbidden, before any of this that we consider Islam today, it was not there yet. It came later. This sense of mission, that dedication, again, that you see also in the in the transformation of the magician of Fir'aun, when Iman entered their heart, how they became very different individuals. You don't see that nowadays. Nowadays, someone practices Islam, at best, that person will become a good person, but will not be a force or an agent of change. They will keep it for themselves, because that sense of mission was removed from Islam throughout the century. And for a reason, because it's not compatible with that type of dynasty rule. I mean, the risala, the sense of mission in Islam, and the ultimate purposes of Islam, and on top of them comes justice, is not compatible with the type of ruling that Muslim had. So those rulers and families and dynasty, by design, they marginalized that aspect of Islam and promoted and sponsored the fiqh al-ibadat and the things that will not affect them. Just go ahead and keep publishing books about wudu and ghusl and how you fix your salat, etc. That doesn't bother them. And that's a major deviation happened in history, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we need to revive this sense of mission as the heart of this deen, presented as you invite people like the Prophet did. You invite people to commit, to dedicate themselves to what? To dedicate themselves to this mission, to understand it and fulfill it to the best of their ability. And what is that mission? We did Quran described in several ways, but also you can summarize as infad muradillah, fulfilling the divine purpose. That the divine purpose becomes your purpose in life. That's the transformation that the Prophet has instilled in the companion. They used to be living for themselves, just living. And here the Prophet made them living for something big, for a cause. That's why they were, after they made that commitment, after that, whatever came from, whatever was revealed, they answered immediately with no hesitation. Why? Because they signed on blank paper, blank, signing, oh Allah, use me. I'm gonna do everything you want me to do, and everything that you want to happen on earth, I will do my best to make it happen. Everything you want me to do or to be, I will do my best to be that, to fit that profile that you like. That's the kind of commitment. And that's what we need to really revive, because this Islam, the current version of Islam, without that sense of mission and without that commitment, it becomes a very dormant religion. That's why it's not producing anything. Even though it is being embraced by millions and millions and tens and hundreds of millions of people, it still is not producing any change in Muslim societies. Why? Because it is defective. It's a very defective, deficient version. Selling it to more people is not going to help. And I claim that this current version of Islam, if all Muslims on earth embrace it, nothing is going to change. I mean, just think about any Muslim country. Imagine,
you mean understanding of Islam?
Yeah, let's understand. Imagine all Muslims in any Muslim country, all members. Tomorrow they become practicing and they pray Jumu'ah and they fast and etc. Nothing is going to change in the society. And we have seen it. I mean, we don't have to imagine. We have seen it. We have seen in the last several decades, a lot of people start to practice Islam they were not practicing before. A lot of them. But nothing has changed.
What is missing, Dr. Suhail? We don't want to leave them with an obscure concept that is not crystal clear. What is missing?
What is missing is to rediscover and reintroduce the original version of Islam. What is missing is committing individuals to the mission of Islam.
Which is what
And
we need
and-
to be. We need to
and-
take people one step at a time.
yeah,
You
and
talked about
converting
tazkiyah.
and converting them from the religion of convenience to the religion of commitment.
Which
Because
is
right,
what?
because right now, people pick and choose from Islam whatever it is convenient. Now, commitment, mission, as you mentioned, if you want to describe it in 2 words, it says tazkiyah and islah. It is working on yourself to be all you can be and to be the best version of yourself from day
Yes.
one, and working on maximizing your contribution to make this world a better
Yes.
place. That's the heart of Islam that is lost nowadays. Nowadays, some people, they think that I can be good Muslim without doing these 2 things, with no self-development plan and with no civic engagement. I can be good Muslim. Why? Because I'm praying, I'm reading Quran,
Yeah.
I'm fasting, etc. So I'm a good Muslim, even though I have no tazkiyah plan and I have no civic engagement.
Yes. If you allow me, I
Sure.
like to add a few words here. First of all, any enhancement of our practice has to be on the individual level, like you said earlier.
Mhm.
When we're talking about commitment to Islam, we're talking about an individual commitment. That individual is committing himself to ask a question every day to himself, of himself. And we heard Dr. Suhail saying this, I heard him saying this over the last 2 or 3 years. How can I be today a better version of myself than I was yesterday? If I'm not today better than yesterday, then I'm freezing my ability to be a better Muslim. And there is no such thing as I will be frozen as I am, because this is anti-nature of things. In Islam, everything is moving except one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the only constant. And everything else should be in motion. So today, I have to be better than yesterday. And if I continue to practice this until it becomes second nature to me, then I will have to go back to find what is the next logical step. And I found that in the Sunnah and the Hadith Sayyidina Jibreel. It's known as Hadith Sayyidina Jibreel. When the Prophet ﷺ was sitting at the mosque and the Sahaba with him, and suddenly they saw a good-looking man coming in with clean clothes. That means he was not traveling. But since they don't know him, they were wondering, who is he? Who is this guy that we don't know, who was not traveling? Then this guy sat down in front of the Prophet and put his knees against the knees of the Prophet and said, tell me about Islam. And the Prophet told him about the 5 arkan al-Islam, the salat, the shahada, the salat, the siyam, the 5 I forgot the word arkan in English now. Pillars, the 5 pillars of Islam. Then he said, tell me about the iman. What is iman? Then the Prophet told him about arkan al-iman, the pillars of iman. Then he asked the third question, which is to me is something we need all to pay attention at. Tell me about ihsan. Ihsan is doing everything you do with beautiful excellence. Excellence that has an element of beauty in it. Then the Prophet ﷺ answer was to worship Allah as if you see him. And if you don't see him, to know that he's seeing you. So this is basically what is missing today from Islam of today.
There's another, Sheikh, there's another version of the hadith that says to act, not just to worship, to act.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. The point I want to make is this third element is missing today from what they teach us Islam to be. They put emphasis on salat. They put emphasis on doing everything that's good, but they don't put emphasis on ihsan. Ihsan is missing, and they tell us al-rukn, the pillar that is missing is jihad. Well, jihad is very important, but what they mean when they say this is qital. They don't mean struggle, they mean to fight. And this is the wrong understanding of jihad. When I want to struggle, I have to do it with ihsan. Anything I want to do beyond faith or in Islam and iman has to be within the framework of ihsan. And if we try to focus on this, I wrote an article about this. I like to share with all of you how to perfect my Islam and iman. I do it with itqan. Itqan is to do everything you do to the best of your ability, to do the best job possible, whatever you are doing. I can be sweeping the street and I have to do it with itqan. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allah yuhibbu idha amila ahadakum amalan an yutqina. The Prophet said, Allah loves. He didn't say prefer. He didn't say he would love. He said he will love for you when you're performing something to do it with perfection. So basically, when I move from tazkiyah, I'm trying to be a better person every day. And then from tazkiyah, I'm trying to do itqan. So when I go to work, whatever I'm doing in the best possible way. That will bring me to the attention of the people working with me. I will be like an example. So they try to do the same thing. So I'm not trying to take anything away from the path of my colleagues. I'm trying to help them. Then I am a force of good.
And mercy.
This is Amr bil Ma'ruf.
And mercy.
And exactly. So we have tazkiyah, we have itqan that lead us to ihsan. Then we are excellent in everything we're doing. Then we can change the world into something better. Which is the essence of Judaism. Tukun alam. Tukun alam is fixing the world. Of course, whatever Allah revealed to Sayyidina Musa, revealed to Sayyidina Isa, and revealed to Sayyidina Muhammad. The message is still the same. At the end, after you're a better person, you are doing everything in the best way possible, you're adding excellence to everything you do, then you're fixing the world because you're an example of how you understand. You're working together with your colleagues, and together as a group, jama'ah, you're doing to fix the world. And this is where last week we were talking about when I had a conversation with Dr. Suhail and said, I accept you as a leader of this group, and I pledge allegiance to what you want the group to do and the direction to move in. Dr. Suhail, some people before we started today asked me about this, and they said they're kind of confused. Where does this come from? What does it mean? What does it require? So I'm thinking about explaining a little bit more, but please add this is all I want to say.
Jazakallah khair.
May I jump in,
Very
please?
good points. Yes.
May I jump in? There's no question about the fact that Almighty Allah created the creation. And in that creation, there was me too, any individual. So I, by definition, have a relationship with my creator and with his creation. And in that consideration, for me as a layman, which one is more important, my relationship with him, with Allah, or whatever he meant for that creation and the relationship of that creation with me as the individual? Which one should carry more weight for me as that individual and my pursuit of being an excellent subject of God, something that could please him? Is there a relative weight I can assign to the two relationships?
There is no relative weight, brother. Now we are supposed to be if we really talk about the true original Islam that was preached by Muhammad ﷺ and created that, produced that great success stories and those great individuals and that great community and movement, it is centered around three things that you have to be working on them in parallel every day, day in, day out. One is, as you mentioned, your relationship with Allah, your Iman. What many Muslims do not realize that this Iman, it's not a one-time decision. It's something that has to be always maintained and refreshed and strengthened and upgraded, etc. So it's not like one time I decided to believe in Allah and that's it, I have Iman. It's not you have it or you don't. It's what level and what quality and what strength and how close you are to Allah and how present Allah is in your life. That requires work. That requires a lot of spiritual development, salah and qiyam and dhikr and Quran, etc. So that Iman will stay always vibrant and always stronger. And so that's one track. It's like student taking courses. These are 3 courses you take in parallel. The other track is your self-development. It's how can I become a better person and try to improve and perfect all my roles, all my responsibilities, everything I do, whether at work or at home, whatever. That also another track. It's a huge, it requires so much learning. You need to learn about your health to have a better health. You need to learn about spousal relationship to have a better relationship. You have to learn about parenting to be better parents. You have to learn about finances to be stronger financially. There is so much to learn just for you to be better and to be stronger. And then there is the other track, the third track, which is the Islah, or what is it, what impact am I having, what contribution am I making? That also requires a lot of learning and a lot of action and effort so that I can maximize my positive impact on people around me and on the world I'm living in, and maximize my contribution. All of this is not optional. This is the heart of religion. I mean, to remove all of this and just keep a couple of tasks to do and couple of things to avoid, that's a very big injustice done against Islam. So even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, by the way, those ibadat, they were mentioned, they were prescribed to strengthen individuals who are fulfilling a mission. When the person abandoned the mission, those worship acts become obsolete. Those worship acts are meant to strengthen your Iman. They are meant to help you in this tazkiyah process to make you a better person. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. These worship acts are meant to strengthen your incentive and your motivation and your capacity to perform the mission of Islah or to fulfill the mission of Islah. Quran says, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. استعينوا على what? استعينوا, seek help in prayer and patience. This was revealed to the people who are on a mission, and they need that spiritual refueling. When they go to pray, the prayer becomes the need for them because the mission is very taxing, very demanding, very exhausting. So they need that spiritual refueling and strength they get from Salah. Another thing that tells you that those worship acts become obsolete if they don't fulfill their purpose. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says about fasting, من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به فليس لله حاجة في أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. The one who fasts Ramadan but does not abstain from haram, like vain talk or any sins, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say this person may as well eat and drink. There is no point. This person is getting nothing. Why? Because fasting was prescribed as a tazkiyah tool to make you a better person. If you are fasting and you are not improving, there is no point. Just go ahead and eat. And so this is, there are some hadith that are very revealing and some verses that people unfortunately don't pay attention to them. Fasting was meant to increase your taqwa. If it is not doing that, then there is no point. The hadith says you're only getting thirst. You are just making yourself thirsty and hungry unnecessarily. You're getting nothing out of your fasting. رب صائم ليس له من صيامه إلا الجوع والعطش. The person is fasting, but they're getting nothing. Why? Because fasting was meant as one of those tazkiyah tools. Someone who embraced this mission of tazkiyah and islah And then they were given some prescribed worship acts to strengthen them. And they were, there were things that were forbidden, because these things, they are, number one, harmful. It's a distraction. Anything, Allah wants you to be focused on your mission and wants you to be happy and successful. So anything that will interfere with that mission or will interfere with your happiness and success, Allah made it forbidden. And you can examine all the social diseases, all the problems that societies are suffering from. You will find them either something that was forbidden, or they were caused by something that was forbidden. Just look at what alcohol is causing. Drunk driving, problems in families, violence, crime, whatever, all of these. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it forbidden because it is وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. There are people may benefit from drinking and from gambling, but the harm outweighs the benefit or the good. So that's what we need to revive, that being a Muslim, meaning that you committed yourself to dedicate your life to Allah and to Allah and His cause. And you're going to be pursuing Ridwanullah until the last minute in your life, and you will never take it for granted. You're going to be always pushing your limits and pushing yourself on the track of Iman, to have stronger Iman, to be closer to Allah, to have more vibrant Iman, and on the Tazkiyah, to be better version of yourself. Tazkiyah, by the way, the translation of it is إبلاغ الشيء كماله, meaning realizing your full potential. That's how it is translated. Or seeking perfection. إبلاغ الشيء كماله. Be all you can be. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you. So if 2 days in the row you are the same person, Allah may not be pleased with you. Allah wants you to see you better person every day, wants you to leverage all the potential that He has given you on those tracks, to be a better person and to increase your contribution to the greater good. And then on the third track, so the Iman track, the Tazkiyah, and the Islah, which is when you go to sleep or when you wake up in the morning, you need to ask yourself, in what way did I improve today? And what was my contribution? What impact did I have? What impact did I make? What contribution did I make? And how did I improve? And then check your Iman, because Iman, the Prophet ﷺ says, tends to wear out. If you don't maintain it, if you don't take good care of it, it will deteriorate. You will reach the point which is the absolute minimum, where you start worshiping for only one reason, doing the minimum because you are afraid of punishment. And that's the lowest quality of Iman. And that's the lowest, the weakest Iman, which is you're not excited, you're not doing it out of love and gratitude to Allah, you're not trying to do your best. No, you are afraid of punishment, so you want to do the minimum.
If I'm asked a question that's on the topic, but a little bit off the topic, not specifically about doing the minimum, but someone who prays at the mosque as often as possible, Western work constraints being what they are and all, and in all his free time spends it at the mosque reading the Quran. But the person does not appear to learn anything. Whenever I ask, oh, what touched you today? What did something move you? Did something spark a question in your head? Oh, I find value in all of the verses of the Quran. Well, alhamdulillah, but to me, that's not very, I think the person's reading the words, but not, ingesting them. And then recently he said that, so this is someone who's originally from Algeria, and no, this is not pointing a finger at Algeria, but he's a native Arabic speaker and reads the Quran in Arabic. And he said, well, you know, it's really hard for me. It's hard for us without having studied the Quran, Quranic Arabic, et cetera, et cetera. It's very complex and the understanding is very difficult. And I suggested that, and I mean, I got completely chewed out for this, that maybe he try reading it in French, because this is in France, to get some explanations of the things that apparently are not being grasped in Arabic. I can only read the Quran. I understand it's a translation. It's not the real Quran, but I read Safi's translation. I read others in English. I read in French to get the best possible and most well-rounded meanings I can, understandings I can. And when I have questions about anything, I ask people I trust. But the idea that he admits that he's not, he spends hours every day reading the Quran and is so proud of himself. And on Friday, oh, I read Al-Kahf. I said, great, what did you learn from Al-Kahf? Oh, there's value in all of it. He admits to not understanding well enough because it's complicated Arabic, but God forbid he should read in another language. Do we have any thoughts on this? I mean, am I off the mark suggesting that someone's, to me, that's just basic Iqra. It's just seeking more information when one doesn't understand. Should I not suggest that to somebody? Is it wrong?
There are two.
I know the answer already. I'm sorry.
Actually, there are two issues here. Number one is it's not up to us to choose what we do in terms of our duties, and then it's like the scholars, they call it the duty of the time or the duty of the moment. Wajib al-waqt. What is your duty at this moment? If your duty is to be visiting someone who is sick or to help someone who's staying in the mosque and reading Quran, is not good at that time. So people, it's not up to us. It's like, you know what this person is doing, or whoever does this. It's like student who's taking like 4 courses and neglects 3 of them, and then say, whatever time I have, I'm gonna spend on this course because I like it. I like this course. You're not gonna pass. You're not gonna succeed or graduate this way. So we have to always ask ourselves, what is at this moment, what is expected from me? Where am I expected to be? Or what is it that I'm expected to do? And then do it with no hesitation. To say that I'm going to do what is I'm gonna choose. So I think I like praying, so I'm gonna do more of prayers. But I don't like this civic engagement, so I'm not gonna be civically engaged. It's not up to you. Or I'm gonna do more fasting because I think I'm good with fasting. That's not how Islam should be understood, and that's one of the major misunderstanding that is so common, that I can make up for something with another thing. No, you can't. So that's one problem. It's that people have to understand that always you should be asking, what is my calling at this moment? So if there is demonstration or whatever for a just cause, and you say, no, I think I prefer to stay in the masjid reading Quran, that's not up to you. So that's one thing. Second thing is this idea of when we read Quran, we focus on quantity. That's a terrible mistake. Very common, unfortunately. People keep saying, and they say, Alhamdulillah, I finish Quran every week, or I finish Quran every month, etc. So I'm good. But they may not even understand what they're reading. And that's not non-Arab speaking, even Arab speaking, who do not put the effort to understand. They may be listening to the Quran and reading it and getting nothing out of it. So we really have to shift the focus from reading and how much you read memorizing, how much you memorize, learning the rules of reading Quran properly, learning the rules of tajweed. All of these are great. All of these are good. Listening the Quran is great. But before all of these comes understanding the Quran and studying it. So if you really have to choose, then studying the Quran comes first. If you every day you spend some time studying verses of Quran, even fewer verses, and try to understand them and to implement them in your life, is better than reading 20 pages and understanding nothing, or
And
even
so if-
memorizing.
So if the person is, because of language limitations, because again, Quranic Arabic is quite special, even though he's a native speaker, if the understanding, and he admits, is limited, am I ridiculous to suggest that he read in a French translation, or something
No.
else that he could understand?
No, I
I mean,
mean,
without being shot down for it, because that would help it could help his understanding.
no, I mean, everybody should make some effort to be able to read the Quran. I mean, but understanding the Quran is priority, and therefore even reading it in another language and understanding it and implementing it is very important and should not be underestimated. So until a person, even if person has no Arabic whatsoever, and they are just learning it so that they can read the Quran in Arabic, they should not wait. Meanwhile, they should be reading the Quran in their language and try to extract as much understanding from it, guidance, because the Quran is a book of guidance, and implemented it. So
well, and you can read I can read a transliterated version in Arabic, well, the transliteration. So therefore, the Quran in Arabic, I will understand every time it says Allah. I will understand every time it says Muhammad. You know, there are 10 words I will understand. I will truly understand nothing. So what point is it? I mean, I have to read it enough.
that's what I'm saying.
There seems to be a lot of resistance among native
Understanding
speakers.
in English.
You can get the best of both worlds. You can
I get it.
continue to do that transliteration.
Transliteration.
Yeah, you can continue to do
Phonetically
that.
written.
It's like for I mean, these are the words of Allah, and you're citing them in the same way they were revealed, etc.
Yeah. But I'm not
in
getting
parallel,
anything out of it.
yeah, but in parallel, I wouldn't say even more important is the fact that beyond memorizing few surah or verses for the prayers, beyond that, the studying the Quran comes first. And if studying has to happen in different language, then let it be, so that person can understand the message that was sent to them from Allah, and do not delay that or postpone it or freeze it just because they don't know Arabic. No, this is a message that was sent to you from Allah. If it was sent to, like, imagine a letter that you get from Allah. If it came in Arabic, you immediately gonna get translator and say, translate it to me. I want to know what are the instructions so that I can implement them. That's the same thing for the Quran. Go for studying it in the language that you understand, and in parallel, as I said, getting those few verses or surah for the prayer, and then reading the transliteration. That's a good idea also. So people should not
I feel
feel
better
bad.
about my helpfulness.
We have 3 minutes
People
left.
should not feel bad about that, because it's not easy to learn a language, especially the Arabic language is not that easy also.
Well, again, it's not for me. I happily read in English and French. This is an Arabic speaker who's just not understanding it, and then comes out with all sorts of crazy. So anyway,
it becomes the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's the same thing. Yeah. But,
yeah, it comes down
anyway,
to this.
thank you. I appreciate
sure.
the feedback. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Can I have a quick comment?
Sure.
I was just listening to the sister, who said that if we could read Quran in our own language. I think I tried this, but it became very problematic for me because, for example, the Fatiha, the first surah of Quran of Fatiha, I think it's like around 27 words. But if you want to translate it in English, if you are very, very conservative, it becomes like around 64 words. So it is, you're basically, killing, the meaning. That's why I think, as Brother Sahil said, it's very important for everyone, to try to understand some basic Arabic, learn a little bit, because reading in Quran and its main text and understanding it is completely different from, Swahili or my language, which is Farsi. So, and I also think, right now we're moving toward a world where English is, the international language. Everybody has to learn English a little bit, and I think this concept was in Islam long time ago, but unfortunately Muslims went in a different direction, so they lost everything. So I just want to say, it's very important to understand Quran, to read it in the main text. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true, brother. But to be realistic, let's say I'm someone who has no Arabic whatsoever. I came to Islam today. Should I wait to
Exactly.
read Quran until I master the Arabic language? No, I can do them in parallel. I will be doing
right.
my best, looking for opportunities to learn Arabic, whether it is online or classes in the masjid or etc. Start to try to build my Arabic, Islamic Arabic vocabulary, at least the basic words. Try to keep increasing that and expanding it so that every day I can understand a new word, Allah, Akhirah, Ahsan, Ridwan, etc. Whatever. I can do that, and in parallel, shouldn't wait. In parallel, I will be studying the Quran in my language, so that I don't miss the meanings. That's all what I'm saying. It's getting the best of both worlds and working in parallel.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. It's about time, is it? Because I
Yeah.
had one more question, but can leave it to next week, inshallah.
Sure.
Vazi. No?
Okay, so inshallah we'll meet next week, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much.
Alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Khuda Hafiz.